we get this one, we get this one life.
Yep.
We get this one life. Sure, past lives and all this stuff. I believe that our soul will have many more, but this is the one we have now.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I'm going to regret living life this way. I don't think that I know anyone that regrets following their heart. There's that study, I can't remember what study it was, where they just interviewing a lot of people on their deathbeds,
Yeah.
And one very common one is that they say, I wish that I had let myself have more fun. I'd let myself love more.
Yeah.
Right? That I'd let myself, and that's the way that it was worded. I'd let myself.
Yeah.
No one ever says, I wish I'd worked harder.
Yeah. Do you have any comments or? Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's like, what is this? She's like, is plastic? Is that from China? Yeah, it actually is. It's from Shantou, China. I went to school with a girl named Shantou. Okay, so, dude, welcome back to LA. You are freshly back to LA, like not even 24 hours.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I almost asked you to stay here on this couch again.
Yeah.
Just because I want to hang out with you. So the fact I had another place to stay, and I just kind of want to hang out with Jason. So
part of me was a little butthurt that you didn't ask. I was like, he's coming in. Where's
I thought about it, but it's one of those things where absence makes the heart grow fonder sort of situation, and I feel like I have about 3 solid hangouts before you get bored of me.
That's not true.
And I'm like, yeah,
that's not true. That's not true. I think you're underestimating how fun you are to hang around.
Yeah.
But dude, you just came back from Tulum, not Costa Rica, even though I've told you 5 times that you were in Costa Rica and you were not in Costa Rica.
Well, you're starting to convince me I was.
See, maybe there's
where was I? Was I in Costa Rica? I don't know.
I'm going to try to get a bunch of your friends to be like, yo, I was Costa Rica just randomly, absolutely. Until you're finally like, yeah, it was actually amazing. Costa Rica, that was the funnest trip of my life. So you were in Tulum. What were you doing in Tulum?
I was taking one of my clients through a 3-day immersion experience and then helping facilitate at a mastermind for 4 days. Nice. So I don't like to travel anywhere if it's less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So expanding the time there. So it was a mix of business and pleasure. At this point, I feel like that's just life in general, though.
Yeah. And we're going to talk a lot about that. And I'm actually super excited you're here. For those of you who do not know Adam Roa, where the hell have you been? Adam is a poet. He is a musician, singer-songwriter, coach, facilitator, magic maker, experience creator, filmmaker, actor. You're a multi-passionate. You are a slash. You are the definition of a slash.
A slash?
Yeah, you're an actor slash coach slash facilitator. Like you're a living, breathing slash. How do you feel about that?
Good. I refer to myself as a Renaissance man. A Renaissance man. Even my online community CREATE stands for the collective renaissance of education, art, transformation, and entertainment.
I did not know that.
The CREATE community.
Nice.
Yeah. So to me, I feel as if there was a time where people said, what do you do?
Yeah.
As if that's who you are. Right. And I'm a doctor and I identify as being a doctor or a lawyer or Mad Men era. Right. And so now I feel as if we're in this time where it's actually, it's cool to be multifaceted, and it's more true to the human spirit. I don't know a single person who really doesn't have multiple facets to their personality, and if anything, they want to express those. They just simply were told to shut it down at some point, to focus on one thing. And I was actually watching a documentary, I think it was called The Creative Mind on Netflix or something, exploring these different creatives. And one guy was saying about specialization, that word specialization. He said, with specialization, the further you go, the more you know about less things. And so he said, eventually the singularity point on that is you know a lot about nothing. And so for me, I've always had so many facets to my personality, from being literally training for mixed martial arts cage fights while simultaneously being a semi-pro video gamer, while reading fantasy novels in my spare time.
Did you always own that though? Did you always own that you had all these different parts of you, or was there any part of you that was like, oh, I need to also push some of that down, or that needs to be hidden from public view?
I think that I've always owned it. I think that I've always owned it, but I've always wanted to be cool. You know, even like in high school, I took pride in the fact that I was in AP classes and the president of this club and in varsity sports, so that I could go out drinking with the cool kids while simultaneously getting A's in AP English, right? That to me was something I took pride in. But what has shifted for me is I still want to be cool, I guess. Like I still want, a lot of what I do is intentionally intended to be for kind of the mainstream. I feel that my messages are taking aspects of personal development, spiritual growth, whatever it is, from the edges that I play at, and then translating them in a way that just the average person could understand it and receive value from it. That's something that I value now. So while I want it to be cool, which I just describe as being like kind of accepted by the mainstream, I also don't really give a shit anymore, which makes it way more cool. Like that's the secret to being cool. If anyone wants to know the secret to being cool, just don't give a shit.
Be a nonconformist. That's like the coolest way to be cool is to not conform to cool.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're immediately cool. I freaking love that. Well, and that's going to be a big part of what we talk about today is creativity, man, because I know you are such a creative. You are embodied creativity, and there's so much. Well, first of all, I want to go back. You and I first met in Portugal. That was the first time we actually ever met in person, which I was thinking back and I'm like, how is that possible? Like, I feel like I've known you for 5 years at least. And that was 2019.
Wow.
It was summer. It was not even 2 years ago. It was summer 2019. It was June 2019.
And I feel as if you were one of those people that everyone just goes, you know, Jason Goldberg, right? And I go, yeah, no.
Yeah, and people would always say that to me about you too. And like I knew of you, and I'm like, we still haven't met. Like we just still haven't crossed paths in the different circles. So
while living in the same city, basically,
which is ridiculous.
And then meeting, of course, in halfway across the world.
Yeah, and same with Julia Price. Like I met her for the first time in Portugal as well. It's where I met both of you, and you had such an amazing. You did a spoken word piece there, but you also got Vishen to freestyle on stage. You and Julia together, which was so much fun to watch. How was that for you? That moment of like, because that was so out of his comfort zone. That wasn't like, oh, Vishen's a little nervous. That was next level shit for him.
Well, the thing that I'm most proud of, honestly, is that I may be the only person ever in history to call Vishen a dick on stage. I don't know how often.
Was that a part of the freestyle, or did you just call him a dick?
Remember, because it was this thing where we were passing words back and forth. Well, actually, there was some like nervousness in him at first, right? And I said, let's make this easy. How can I support? How can I support? Because I want this to be a cool experience for everyone involved. And I said, let's just give, I'll do a line, you do a line, I'll do a line, you do a line, right?
Which in LA, that means a whole different thing. I do a line, you do a line. But go ahead. Yeah, got it. Portugal, it's different.
And he gave me orange. Remember?
Oh,
he gave me
that's
orange.
Right.
And I went, orange, you such a dick for that. Because
about that.
But what I appreciate about Vishen and you know what they're doing at Mind Valley, it stems from Vishen has this deep like he blends two worlds, right? He blends this world of deep understanding of business and hustle and like branding and just all of that with such care. He really does care about the one thing that I love is every time he has kind of his like VIP dinner experiences or whatever, he says something about everyone. I mean, 30 people. He gathers everyone in a circle and says something about everyone. And I still remember that. And I still see that as someone who is super successful. And I've really appreciated, I sent him a message actually letting him know how much I've appreciated him also putting out content that's slightly controversial. You know, and I think that just the ownership, the authenticity that I've experienced for him was not how I perceived him to be initially, like upon first interaction with him. And so it's something, Vishen, if you're watching this, I love you. And I just really appreciate leaders who are willing to do it authentically. Like they're willing to be themselves. And sometimes themselves can trigger people. Sometimes it can lead to whatever in the background. I've definitely done it. You know, I've triggered so many people with my content, and I just value that because for so long there's been the persona. There's been the era of let me pretend to be this and not show you this side, and I think that that the world is craving authenticity. We're at a stage where inauthenticity has almost become dangerous because it's gotten to a point where no one knows what to believe. And so people are grasping onto things and ideologies and dogmas that are causing harm to a lot of people on this planet. And so it's super important, I believe, to create an environment where it's safe to be yourself. And so I applaud all the leaders, Vision, and everyone who's out there doing that, yourself included, man. I've experienced you as being fully authentic and real, as from the moment that we've met till this moment.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I feel the same way about you. And I feel like it's a really interesting conversation to have. And I love what you said there about the world craving authenticity, because I think a lot of times it can really be an act of defiance to really truly be self-expressed. Like we're raised to be compliant. And so to say, like, I'm going to buck convention, I'm not going to follow the masses, I'm going to share my art in the world, no matter what anybody thinks of it. That's a pretty big act of defiance against everything that we were brought up to do and to believe. So how did you ever have any issues with that? Like, did you ever feel like, I can't share all of myself like that because I am meant to be this proper person or meant to show up a certain way? Or have you always kind of been like, this is me, take it or leave it?
No, this is the opposite of how I was raised. It's the opposite of how I was raised. My dad's from the Philippines, stoic Asian male stereotype. The number of times he said, I love you growing up, I could probably count on one hand. I didn't remember it. The number of times I got hugs or physical affection in that way, probably less than that. Yeah. Discipline came in the form of belts and things like that. And I remember one memory in particular. I was at soccer practice. I was probably, 7, 8 years old. And I got into a fight with one of my teammates. And that looked like throwing water ball at each other, trying to like jump kick each other like a ninja. You know what I mean? Like run after each other and kick each other and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden I hear, Adam! And I look and my dad's standing over there. It's gotten out of the car. And he's like, come here. And I go and I pick up my water bottle and I go. And I don't even get in the passenger seat of the car. I crawl into the back seat and I'm crying. And it's the first fight that I've ever been in. I'm crying. And my dad's reversing the car and he stops the car and he turns around and he looks at me and he says, if you're going to fight, then fight, but don't cry like a little girl. And then he just keeps driving. And, I was 7, 8 years old at the time and I didn't cry for 9 years. I didn't cry for 9 years after that. And I know that because it was my cousin's passing. She was young. And that was the first time that I cried in a long time. And so emotionally, and then also I feel like I just like spill it out for context for everyone. And also, having experienced sexual abuse at a very young age. And that was a repressed memory that I didn't remember until I was 30 years old. But that created the PTSD in the body because the body remembers, right? And it's in the unconscious. So the combination of my physical body and then my emotional body not feeling safe on the planet. It wasn't safe for me. And I was also a late bloomer to high school. I entered high school, bro. I weighed 73 pounds and I was 5 feet tall. And so physically, I didn't feel safe on the planet. Emotionally, I didn't feel safe to express myself. I thought that, okay, don't cry like a little girl. And so who I am now is so mind-blowing even to me because I'm the dude that even amongst like our group of friends, people will say the level of vulnerability you show from my YouTube show, The Art of Choosing Love, and my podcast, The Deep Dive, the way that I open up about my breakups or depression and all of that. It's been interesting because it's so far removed from how I grew up and how shut down I was. And I feel like one of the primary reasons it got to the point that it has gotten to is because it was my way of rewriting the narrative. It was my way of reprogramming my mind where I just went, well, I'm going to share everything so that I can prove to myself that I'm safe. And so that was a huge, huge piece to it. There were a couple other pieces that I've unpacked over the years about why I've done that. But that was, to be this person now is so far from how I was raised. And I hope that why I speak to that and I've taken the time to tell that story is because there are so many people that are so shut down. They're so shut down. They are disconnected from their bodies. They are disconnected from their emotions. They are disconnected from others. And it doesn't matter how disconnected they feel in this moment, how disconnected they feel, they can rewrite that story. You can rewrite that story.
Wow, man, I really appreciate you sharing that. And there's something in there too that I've heard you talk about before that I really wanted to dive more into is I heard you say something about there's kind of a link between creativity and personal growth, right? And that there's maybe, because they both require such deep introspection, they both require self-awareness, they require courage, they require all these things. So for you, how has your healing journey impacted or informed your creativity, or vice versa? How have healing and creativity gone together for you? Well,
I believe that creativity is a path of personal development and spiritual evolution. I believe that I have a keynote on this. I can talk about this forever.
Yeah.
For myself personally, one of the primary ways that I believe that acting saved my life. So I moved out to Los Angeles to pursue an acting career, and I just made that decision while I was in college. I was not feeling fulfilled, and I started taking acting classes again. I used to act in school plays and stuff when I was a kid.
What were you in school for? What were you going for?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I was going to start my own advertising agency.
Got it.
That was the vision.
And you worked in advertising for a little while.
I was working in an ad agency. I was a paid intern in college. They loved me, and they basically told me I had a job offer as soon as I graduated and all this stuff. But I just wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't fulfilled. And the reason I'd gotten into advertising was because I'd done this club called DECA, which is an association of marketing students. And it's kind of like speech and debate, but for business specifically. And so you have these competitions and different things. And I as a junior, I placed third internationally in a competition for a mock advertising campaign. And so you basically create a 10-page advertising campaign in a 10-minute presentation. And you present it as if you're like the creative director for an ad agency presenting to the client. And I was so good at it and rewarded for it. And I went, this is the thing, I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I started working in an ad agency and I didn't love it. And I went, okay, well, what was it that I loved? And I realized it was the performing. It was the pretending. It was the I'm this or whatever. And so I started taking acting classes. I fell in love with it. And acting saved my life because I was so emotionally shut down that I had to relearn how to connect to my emotions. And acting gave me the way to do that, how to connect to my sadness and cry, how to connect to my anger and yell, like how to actually create new neural pathways back to my emotional body after shutting down for so long. And
is that part of where you learned the safety of being able to share yourself was through acting?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so, because not only was I telling myself it's safe to feel emotion, but the more emotion you felt, the better you were. Right? Total opposite.
Wow.
So I was a better actor the more deeply I accessed my emotions. And so
that's a mind fuck, right? I mean, just right away, that's a mind fuck.
Totally. And so I used acting in that way, and it was like the pressure relief valve that finally allowed access to so much. And then from that, that's like the beginning, I think, of creativity and how it personally impacted me, and why I wanted to pursue acting was because I felt like it saved my life, and movies allowed me access to my emotions in ways that nothing else felt safe. It was not safe to cry unless you watched Old Yeller.
Right.
If you watch Old Yeller, then you could cry. You get a pass. Totally. Yeah. You watch The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, and he's in that bathroom in his thing
with the foot
on the door, and you lose your shit, but it's okay.
It's acceptable.
It's manly for you to cry in that moment.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I really found permission to feel, and then over time have just realized, creativity. I was thinking this today. With creativity specifically, so many people view creativity as this bonus that we get to do in Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
It's like once you've survival and all that stuff, here's creativity now. It's in the self-actualization part.
Yeah.
I don't know that I agree, because when you think about it, our fight or flight processes, sure, in the moment, that's what's going to keep me alive, right? Like don't ignore that tiger over there, right? That sort of thing.
There's not really a tiger over there, right?
No, there's not a tiger over there. There's just this little creature. She'll protect us. And when you think about the actual survival long-term of our species, you could attribute equally almost to creativity. human innovation and ingenuity, fire, the wheel, weapons, agriculture, soap, refrigeration, like the survival and thrival of our, is thrival a word?
It should be. It rhymes, so it should be.
The survival and thrival of our species is something that in many ways, creativity is one of the fundamental pieces of that.
Yeah.
And so I think that creativity, when you allow yourself to express creatively, you are expressing the purest essence of your soul. Your creative energy is literally your unique soul fingerprint. Because no matter what activity that we were to do, any sort of activity, write a poem, sing a song, make a meal, whatever, anything that involved our unique creative expression, it would be different. And that would be the same for the 7 billion people on this planet. It would all be different because everyone's creative energy is completely unique. And I don't believe that there's anything more healing than your unique frequency and essence being allowed to express through you and out into the world. And the moment that you say, I'm going to express that, I'm going to allow myself to express that, all of your shit comes up to the surface that tells you all the reasons why you can't.
Absolutely.
You're not smart enough, good enough, talented enough, good looking enough, whatever to do that. You're not worth that. It's a waste of time. All of that stuff rises to the surface. And so instead of going looking for those limiting beliefs, doubts, and insecurities, let's just play and express and create and deal with them when they come up. Because I used to dive into the shadow over and over and over and over again. And the thing is, you find one, you work through it, but you're still in the shit.
Right.
But over here, you say, I want to do this. I want to create a poem. And you start working on it and all this shit comes up in the blocks and whatever. And you work through them just the same as you did over here. But when you're done, you have a poem and you're on the playground.
Interesting. I've never thought about it in that way because it's more intentional and purposeful going into the work as opposed to doing the work for the sake of doing the work. It's like I want to create something in the world. I want to be at play. I want to be a verb in the world, like as Alan Watts would say. And I'm going to deal with my shit through that process of creating something.
You can't avoid your shit.
Right.
It's going to come up either way.
Right.
So why not be on the path of your greatest fun, pleasure, joy, and let that be your default and how you operate and navigate. Let that be the context for your life. And the shit will be a part of it because that's life.
Yeah.
When you make, like I made shadow hunting my job. It's like, okay, what ayahuasca ceremony or personal development retreat or a coach do I need to hire? What do I need to do to fix me? And I did that year after year after year after year and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that journey of doing that for myself. And yes, I don't regret it at all, but I'm sitting here and telling people I've been down that road and I've arrived at this spot, and this spot's way, way more enjoyable. And I think that you can start in this place. And that's why I sent you a message because I felt it was so important because I had a very special ceremony, creating a sacred contract and devoting my life to the muse of creativity, saying my life is about that now. And that for me was a really powerful moment because it was a culmination of truly coming to a place where I feel like this is the thing that I'm willing to create my legacy around and provides me the most opportunity to express myself, but support others in their expression in whatever way that looks like. People think that it has to look like poetry or music or song, or it could be the way that you organize your closet.
Right.
You know, like what is it, Marie Kondo?
Yeah.
It's like, that's so creative.
It is.
The way that she approaches organization and minimalism and tidying up. So yeah, I'm so passionate about it. I get lit up. So I love that we're talking about it.
Yeah, no, me too. I was actually so happy you did that because it was, I had a different thing we were going to talk about. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, no, you know what? I think the creative process and creativity in general would be really great. And then literally like 2 hours later, you sent me that message and I'm like, all right, good. This is perfect. And I love that you said that too, because I think it's important to have a definition of creativity because really anytime we're bringing, for me at least, anytime we're taking something from the formless to the world of form, right? Even if it's organizing your closet, you have a vision in your head of having an organized closet. It's nothing, it's formless, and you bring it into form in some way. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a poem or an actual piece of art or music or a business or anything else. Like we are creating with everything that we do, with every word, with every belief, with every action, with every vision, we're creating. So what we're talking about here doesn't just apply to people who are spoken word poets or singers or rappers or coaches or whatever else. It's anybody who's creating something in their life, right?
Yeah, I think that art, to me, the definition of art is creative energy expressed in tangible form. And so that's what changed cooking for me. I never used to cook. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't get any payoff from it. And then I saw it now as an extension of my creative energy and a way for me to express creatively. And it changed everything. Yeah. And I think that so many people get hung up on the limited view of what they believe art is or what creativity is, that they miss out on the fact that if you've ever spoken a word that no one fed into your ear or you read out of a book, if you've ever spoken your own words, you created those. Yeah. You created those from your creative energy.
Yep.
Right? So everyone's a creator. Everyone's an artist. Everyone has that in them. It's simply a matter of allowing access to that. And it's been amazing because it was, 6 weeks ago or something where I had that ceremony and I really devoted myself to creativity. And in the last month, I was telling you, so much facilitation and specifically people that I'm helping unlock their creativity and their artistry. People who are 8-figure entrepreneurs who are incredibly successful, but you know those people too. They get to a point where once you know how to make money, all you want to do is express yourself.
Right.
That's it. And so don't wait until that point. Yeah. Don't wait till that, because they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have to do one, not the other. You can learn how to make money. You can learn how to grow and expand as a human in your personal development journey. Your spirituality can expand within it. All of it is available on the path of creativity.
Yeah. 1,000%. So when it comes to creativity, and now I do want to shift just for a minute into more traditional creativity. So people who create, music, or they create businesses, or they create art, or whatever it is, creating podcasts, whatever it is you create. So I want to know an honest answer, not that you're going to lie, but I was so excited to ask you this question. Do you actually love every part of the creative process?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was so
Who
scared
loves
you were
every
say
part
yes.
of the creative process?
Because I am not a fan of the creative process. It's painful sometimes. It feels really heavy and it's not always enjoyable. So that's why I want to know from you, like, what parts do you really not enjoy and what parts do you enjoy of the creative process?
Hold on. So I love the creative process.
Okay, so what does that mean?
I love the creative process. Well, it just means it's a matter of scale and scope, right? Okay. I love cooking. I don't fucking love all the little tiny aspects of cooking. Like there's some parts that I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
It's like I'm single right now, but there's times it's like I love my girlfriend. I don't love everything about my girlfriend. Right. You know what I mean? It's scale and scope. So the creative process, I love the creative process. I love creating. I love the times where that piece drops in and it connects like these 3 other pieces in this beautiful way. I love that.
Yeah.
And yet in it, the creative process is a process of moving through resistance and expanding yourself in the moment to become a match to receive the creative idea in the first place. So similar to going to the gym, if you want to get stronger, you have to lift through resistance so that your body goes, ooh, I have to get stronger in order to meet this input of resistance, right? And so it builds more muscle in order to compensate for that. And with creativity, it's kind of the same thing. It's wow, I don't know how to finish this poem, or I don't know how to make these parts of my business work together. Great. Now you go into your creative process and you sit with that and you be with that so that you can get stronger, essentially, in your ability to put those pieces together, which is what creativity is just putting patterns and pieces together and then combining that with a skill of some kind to express it. Yeah. And so, yeah, but I think that one of the most important aspects of my own creativity and relationship with my muse is being able to understand when the muse is gone and when I need to sit in it. This is something that I think a lot of people get frustrated in, because I could say I'm working on a poem. So to use an example, I'm working on a poem and I write 8 lines and then I feel myself hit a wall. Mm-hmm. There is a time where, and I can feel it, where I hit that wall and I go, it's gone. It's gone.
Right.
That's it for this session or this day.
Yeah.
And I get to go out into the world and live my life and become a match to whatever the next section's going to be. I don't yet have it in me.
Right.
And then there's times where I write those 8 lines and I hit that wall and I can feel that it's in there. I can feel that it's still there. And that's where now I get to sit for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and be in the incubation of it and let it marinate and let it just be, because I know that if I sit in it, the answer will come.
Yeah.
And that's come through many, many years of developing my creativity and that process to know the difference. Because I think so many people hit that wall and they stop when they need to sit in it.
Right.
And then on the other end of the spectrum,
I do the opposite.
So many people hit that wall and they stay in it to the point where it's actually gone and they're not going to find the answer, but they're now just kind of masochistically punishing themselves because they think that they're supposed to or they have to work through it. And knowing the difference between those two things has made a huge impact in the creative process for me and made it far more enjoyable. But it did take years to be able to cultivate that awareness.
What is that? Are there any tips you can give us on starting to cultivate that? Asking for a friend. Is there any way to start working on it? Because I'll give you a second to think about that, because my own distinction about this when I think about the creative process is that I love the created process. I love to look and see what I did and feel fulfilled, that even though it was painful as shit and I didn't think I was going to get through it, or I felt so much resistance, I did the fucking thing. It's done. Right. So for me, I love the created process, but the creative process, I'm not super in love with a lot of times, especially when there is resistance.
Yeah, I think that I love going to the gym. I love going to the gym. It's been a huge part of my life. I used to be a personal trainer. I have been regularly going to the gym since I could drive, 16 years old.
Yeah.
When I'm at the gym, there's plenty of times I don't like the feeling of being at the gym. I don't like that burn. Yeah. I don't like that thing. But I never regret going to the gym.
Right.
Ever. And so with the creative process, similar to me, there are times where I sit for 45 minutes and write 3 lines and I want to throw this thing out the window. And there are times, especially when it comes to businesses and putting pieces together and making, you and I have had some conversations around it, like the creativity involved in business, entrepreneurship. And those can be weeks or months of marinating on ideas and figuring that out. And they can, I definitely don't like all of that, However, similar to the gym, like the created, on the other side of it, I always love that.
Yeah.
I always love that. I've never been disappointed. I've never regretted the creative process ever. And so it's allowing myself to not get lost in the moment of discomfort. And I think that's life in general, Totally. We can be, even when I was going through depression, I was battling depression deeply. And I bad moments aren't actually the dominant part of your life.
Right.
I think with depression in particular, it's just like experiencing a bad moment, just a little moment. And because being in that mindset, a small thing can seem like a big thing. But it's not like in 24 hours, there's a terrible thing that's happening every 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's just not it.
Right.
And if you start to appreciate the fact that, wow, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm healthy, I'm eating good food, I'm drinking water. Like if you can start to appreciate that I have this dog with me, if I can appreciate those little moments, those are the vast majority of everyone's day. Mm. The vast majority of everyone's day. And so if we can learn not to just focus on the discomfort, we'll open up just so much more appreciation for the love and the beauty that is there all the time. And I think that applies to the creative process. It applies to the gym. It applies to life in general. Yeah. And to your question about how do you find that, to me, it's like, it's I guess I would have to describe my creative process in general.
Yeah.
I view the world, I view existence through the lens of infinite possibility. I believe that there are infinite realities. I believe that, and when I say infinite, what I truly mean is we've had this exact same conversation with one word different and two word different, three word different, and then all of those permutations, but just sitting in reversed spots over here. You know what I mean? Like infinite possibilities. Yeah. And I feel like if that's the case, and we understand that time is just kind of a layer of a dimension, so to speak, and there's dimensions beyond time. That's why we know that time can be bent and gravity affects time, and it is just a layer. Well, then that means that those other infinite realities, those exist. They just are. It's somewhere beyond time. And once we've removed time, everything just exists in this singularity point. And so the real question is, why are we experiencing this one? What is making this the timeline that we are experiencing? And I believe that's where we talk about frequency and law of attraction and manifestation. It's like, what is the frequency that I'm holding? And there's a lot of ways practically that applies. I always, when I speak esoterics, I want to ground it in the simple fact of like, what I ate today is impacting what my brain is doing cognitively, which is impacting what sort of thoughts come to me when you ask me a question, right? But what I chose to eat today could be based on the emotional state that I'm in, right? And that emotional state could be based off of whether or not I did my meditation in the morning. And you know what I mean? Everything is so interconnected. And so the frequency that we're holding could change this conversation by 5 words or make this conversation not happen at all. And so if the frequency I'm holding is making me a match to the reality I'm experiencing, that means that there's a version of reality in which the creative idea that I'm working on changes the world. And there's a version of the reality where the creative idea I'm working on doesn't even get finished. And so which one of those am I attuned to at any point in time?
Is this what you mean when you're talking about like tuning into your artistry? Is this kind of what you mean when you say that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I think that I view the creative process through 4 steps. Okay. And I have taught this in group programs. I'll take people through it when I'm working with clients one-on-one, for example, and we want to work on a project. And I use the metaphor of we're garden hoses. Okay. So you have a seed of a creative idea, and your job is to be a vessel for creative energy to flow through you and water that idea until it blossoms and bears fruit. So when you first take out the hose, it's all kinked up. You take it out of the shed, it's all knotted and kinked up. Nothing's going to come through it. Yeah. These are the equivalent of your fears, doubts, limiting beliefs, insecurities. Someone who believes that they cannot sing is not going to receive downloads about the song that they could make. Right. You know what I mean? So these removing more of these fears, doubts, and insecurities so that we can become a match to the actual ideas. Also learning things like, you want to play the guitar, great. You're going to learn some basic chords. That's going to unlock so much potential of what you can receive. So that's a kink that you could remove, right? So that's the first step. The second step is connecting to the tap, connecting to the source. And so this is where you start to, where are you pulling from? Where are you getting that information? Are you tapping into the idea in which it never gets finished? Are you tapping into the idea where it changes the world? Where are you pulling from? And that's similar to just Joe Dispenza work. That is law of attraction work. That is, what frequency are you a match to? The third step is turn it up. And so is that a trickle of creative energy flowing through you, or is it a fire hose? And that is the equivalent of your routines, your habits, what are you eating? How much sleep are you getting? When I've worked on bigger creative projects, throughout the different phases, I'll change my diet. I'll change my routines based on what's being called for at that time. And then the fourth step is spout it out. And so you have this hose, you could just leave it there. You could put a sprinkler on it. You could do a gun nozzle on it. You could use your thumb, whatever.
Love the gun nozzles.
Which is what is the unique way that it leaves you and enters the world. And this is where you start to put your flavor on it and your story into it and your skill sets and your flavor on that creative idea. So that's like this 4-step process that I have. And it is an ongoing, ever-present process for me based on how I live my life as a full-time creative. And it's also the microcosm of the macro in when I'm focused on, this is the poem. And so when I'm working on that poem, it's like, okay, am I a match to this right now? And so why that's important to answer your question is because when you start to see the thing that you're working on as something that you are giving birth to, that's literally you're pulling from and coming through you instead of self-generating it, then you'll start to feel that difference. You'll start to feel it in your body. I can feel the difference of when it's still in me and I can tell, and I can feel the difference where I feel like I've exhausted it. And that only came from when my creative process shifted into this kind of like 4-step one, because it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling to go, wow, it's like knowing when there's static on a radio station or not, and knowing when that channel's open and when it's not.
That's so, yeah, I could imagine that takes a lot of testing and a lot of growth and a lot of trial and error and things like that to really get it. And so when we look at that, how do we balance that? Okay, so there's this quote by W. Somerset Maugham, who you've probably heard before. It's, I only write when inspiration strikes. Luckily, it strikes every day at 9 a.m., something to the effect like that. Yeah. And it's basically this interesting thing of like, don't wait until inspiration strikes, sit down and do the work and create the thing. And so I get that, but then I also get the other side of it, which I know that you've talked about, and you're kind of talking about some of it now, is you have to also leave space for some of this stuff to occur. If you're packing yourself too much or forcing yourself to be creative, a lot of times the opposite thing occurs. So for you, I mean, you're a prolific creator, but it's not just something you create just for fun. It's also a part of your business. And so there are probably times where there are deadlines and deliverables and things that people are counting on, and there isn't a time to just like give space. Like you have to just sit down and do the thing. So how do you just personally balance like the need for space to allow things to emerge with like the fact that we do have the world of constraints and deliverables and requirements and deadlines?
It's a really great question. The simplest answer is I try and eliminate as many of those as possible.
I mean, that's smart.
That's like the simplest answer. 'Cause I think few people understand how much space creativity requires.
Yeah.
And creativity is the expansion of what your brain is able to put together. Right? Like the pieces that your brain can actually put together, it's an expansion of that. And I think that we can give it parameters. We can give it, boosters. We can support it in a lot of ways. And anytime there's a strict deadline, I worry about its impact on creativity. And so I think there's a fine line, and this is why I feel like I can remove a lot of my own deadlines and stuff, is because I also have developed into the person where I know if I'm ineffective and inefficient with my time. I know if I'm scrolling social media too much. I know if I'm smoking weed just because I'm bored, as opposed to using it as a tool for creativity. I'm honest, radically honest with myself. I've developed that knowing within myself, and I've also developed an integrity of self to a point where if I catch myself doing those things, I change them pretty rapidly. And so as a result of that, I can trust that the creative, I'm giving my all, more or less, to the creative process always. And so therefore the amount of time it takes is the amount of time it takes.
Yeah.
And so I think that for a lot of other people, they waste a lot of time doing things that they don't really want to do. Yeah. And as a result, the creative process drags itself out when it doesn't need to take as long as it did. They just didn't honor it in that way. And so, deadlines can be incredibly helpful for that. I'll give you a tangible example. I went to a cabin in the woods. We talked about this. Yeah. I went to a cabin in the woods after my last breakup, spent 5.5 weeks. I went deep into my healing process, and I brought, actually, I'm going to change the example. I'm going to change the example right now to a different one. There was a poem that after my breakup, there's a poem, it's called A Mannequin's Dream.
I remember that. This was when you came to visit.
Yeah. Did I finish it? Had I finished it?
You read it to me, which I was so honored because I know typically you don't read them when they're in process.
It wasn't finished yet. It was like in the process.
But then the next morning, I think you finished it.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay. Did I finish it here in your house?
Here. Yeah.
This is full circle.
It's awesome.
So with that poem, I was in a deep space of kind of anger and resentment after this last breakup. Going, she's so fake, and I had that, and so I wrote the first bit of the poem, and the beginning of it starts with, "I once fell in love with a mannequin," and it was this idea of like, did I even get to experience a real person? And so after 8 lines or whatever, I said this. It left me the inspiration to write from this space of resentment and anger and go and down. It just left me, and I could feel it, and I let it be. And I just went into my healing process around the breakup, and at a certain point, weeks later, I was in a new space of how did that even happen? Like, how did this all come about? And that introspective kind of moment led to the next 8 lines of the poem. And then once again, I felt it kind of leave, and I go, I don't know where to take it from here. And that was not an emotional thing. That was, I don't know where to take this logically. Yeah. And so I let that go. And then I went a couple more weeks and just went deep into my process. And there was one morning in particular, one of my deepest emotional releases. I was sobbing in this cabin in the woods. And I was not sobbing for myself. It was the first time that I was deeply, deeply sad for her. And what shaped her into feeling like there needed to be that level of inauthenticity, and that allowed me to revisit the poem and write half of it, the next big chunk of it from a space of compassion. And then once again, I hit a point where I go, okay, I don't know how to end it, and just went back into my life process, and then realized I want to honor the relationship, like to really let it go. I want to honor it. So I want to end it with the fairy tale. I want to end it with the version that I was attached to, so I can let it go. And then I wrote it and I ended it. Yeah. And so I don't know, man, like if I had put a deadline on that, if I had said this needs to be finished by this time, or if I had sat in that period initially when I had the idea and said, well, I have to finish it right now while I'm in it, the entire poem would have been in a state of resentment or anger. It would have been a very different poem. And that's not, I love it. And so I know that I wouldn't have been as satisfied with doing that. And so, that's an example to me of, I wasn't a match to the other sections in the beginning, but I needed that anger and resentment to even have the concept or the idea in the first place. Yeah. And so to me, the creative process is going to run parallel to your life itself. And so when someone says you need to sit and stare, you need to write at 9 a.m. every single day, you just get it down and write it. One, I want people to know that a lot of prolific writers don't agree with that. Yeah. Tim Ferriss and the woman who wrote Wild, I can't remember her name, he was interviewing her, and they both said they're binge writers. They'll go a long time without writing, and then they'll have days where they just crank out 50 pages. Right. And I'm more like that. And the idea that you have to sit at 9 a.m. But what I will say, what I do agree with, is that you get to create space for creativity every day. If it's at 9 a.m., you don't have to be writing. 9 a.m. might look like journaling about something else. 9 a.m. might look like I did today, watching a documentary about creativity. 9 a.m. might be doing some mushrooms and meditating. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? But I do think what I agree with is that becoming a match for your creative visions to flourish gets to be a part of your everyday life.
It can be intentional. It doesn't have to be a thing where you're just waiting for everything to be perfect. You can meet whatever it is, whatever inputs you think are going to help you, whether it's microdosing or documentaries or journaling or meditating, that's priming you for the muse. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, it's priming you for the muse, and that changes. You might be in a period of writing a ton of comedy, right? And you've got all of this comedy coming through, and then it dries up. Yeah. And so instead of judging that and saying, wow, this is all dried up and I'm frustrated because I didn't finish the set that I had, you go, okay, I'm not a match to the end of the set yet. So what is in my highest inspiration? Because the goal, the intention is still in the ether of finishing this set. So the fact that I don't know how to finish it means that there's something that needs to be input in order for me to output it. And so that might look like, wow, I feel really inspired to go and take this trip to Tulum. Okay, go take I'm working on 2 books simultaneously right now. And I wanted them to be done by the time I left the cabin. And yet neither of them are done. And when I went to Tulum and I just looked at, okay, I'm going to be facilitating all this stuff, I decided not even to take my journals that I need to work on the books. I decided I'm not going to work on the books at all during that time. And to make a decision like that, there's the high achiever in me that goes, what you said that you were going to do it needs to be done by this time. And then there's the other part of me that goes, I'm going to learn so much in Tulum by creating that space. And because my highest inspiration is not to be working on the book right now, my highest inspiration is to pause the book and come to do this. I trust there's something for me here. And there has been. I've learned so much.
It's so powerful, man. And it's something that I'm curious in your take on this. I feel like I'm seeing more and more people, and I've felt this myself as well, that are, kind of prolific or consistent content creators over a long period of time, that they just burn the fuck out, man. They're just like, because there's such a requirement, right? Content is king. Like, you have to be posting and creating all these things all the time. And it's forcing people to be in that deep a level of creativity all the time in order to present something to the world, and not just to present something to the world that's like a booty shot and a funny caption. No judgment, but I'm saying like they're saying like put stuff out in the world that's going to be really transformational for people. That can be a lot of pressure, a lot of heaviness, and to try to deal with that on a consistent basis when you're just not feeling it. So like, what's your take on content creators and feeling like you need to constantly be creating new stuff? And, I've heard several creators personally that I know that are saying this year, for example, they're taking a step back where they're going to be producing less content, but it's going to be much like longer form, or it's going to be a much deeper dive. So kind of what's your feeling about content creation as it looks in the world right now? Yeah,
it's a mindfuck when your creativity becomes how you earn your living.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. I think that it's the reason I started my nonprofit, surrenderedartist.org. For anyone who's interested, we have 2 major kind of aims. One is teaching kids how to use art as a healing technology to deal with whatever comes up in their space, bullying, abuse, whatever. Which is deeply personal to me, based on my journey. If I'd had art at the age of 5 and I went through my sexual abuse, I believe my consciousness may have had the tool to not have to repress that for 25 years. Yeah. So deeply personal to me. And then the other aspect is, how do we help artists move out of the starving artist archetype into their surrendered artist, where they can just be vessels for pure spirit to move through them. And I think that the way that we do that is by helping them understand that it's not their art that they need to monetize to earn their living through, it's their consciousness. The art is just one medium for the expression of their consciousness. And, my poetry, as an example, if I had to earn I have to earn my entire living through my poetry, I believe that would make my life far more difficult. It's like, okay, I'm going to constantly do poetry workshops, constantly do poetry shows, constantly put out poetry books. Like, I got to figure out how to do that, right? And maybe it would work out, like, sure, possibly. But what about if I just didn't want to write poetry for a while? Yeah. What if I was tired about it? Then what? And I feel like with my poetry, it's just an expression of my consciousness, right? The people love that art form, but it's taking these concepts of self-love. It's taking these concepts of what's happening in society. I wrote one about the pandemic, right? Like, taking these concepts, which I'm also putting out on my podcast, The Deep Dive.
Right.
Like, that's also where my consciousness is going, which is also going out on YouTube.
Yep.
And these videos that I create on YouTube, and going out in my posts that I do on Instagram, and all these things, right? It's my consciousness. And so what I feel is that my job is to continue to expand, understand, explore my own consciousness, which is what artists do.
Right.
That the greatest artists are exploring the edges of themselves and the edges of the collective consciousness. And so I think that what I love is that. Like that's actually, when I think about what I love exploring my own consciousness. I love going deep within why, the mechanics of why I am, and then seeing it in other people. And that's what makes me a great coach. But it's also what makes me a great artist, and they're not different. They're not separate. And so I feel very blessed to have realized this for myself and opened up the door to so many different ways in which I can monetize my consciousness.
Right.
And
it goes back to all the slashes. This is why the slashes work for you, because they're all unique expressions of the same consciousness.
100%. That is the thread that ties them all together. And that's why none of them feel like outliers, even though they may seem different, you know, in a lot of ways. It's like taking a client through a medicine journey. And then over here I am like producing a doc. I'm excited to tell you about a documentary that I want to produce with DJ Sammy in the Philippines later this year. Actually, like here I am producing a documentary in the Philippines while then doing shamanic work over here, and then performing poetry to a bunch of drunk people.
Yeah. Spiritually drunk. No, but that actually brings up a really interesting point though, because I've heard you say this before, and I really appreciated this. And as anybody who is an artist, but especially somebody who has chosen to monetize their art, whatever their art is, you said something really interesting before that, you know, with all these slashes you have, there are certain people in your world, let's say, who love the music you put out, but they're not as much into the spiritual stuff, or people that love the podcast, but they're not as much into the spoken word stuff. And so the thing I think is really interesting about that is that I think that anybody who is a slash and they have all these different things, first of all, it's like, oh my God, I have to niche down. I can't be multi-passionate. So now it's like, I need permission just to have all these unique expressions. And we're saying now, fuck that, you don't need permission. But the second part of that is, well, if you have chosen to monetize, then don't I need to make sure that I'm directing the majority of my time towards the thing that's most mainstream acceptable? And if some people don't like it, that's a problem for me because that's cannibalizing my business. And it seems like what you're saying is, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm going to create whatever I create. Some of the things are monetizable from certain people. Some have been monetizable from other, and some of them are not monetizable at all. And that's okay too, right? So like, that's what I feel like I'm hearing. But is that kind of your experience?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting, bro, because I could make a lot more money than I'm making now were I to focus in on the highest leverage points financially.
Yeah, right.
Right? And so I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with someone saying, my goal right now is to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
Sure. If that's your goal, awesome. I was paid $1 million for coaching, and I had that $1 million transferred to me all up front for a 1-year coaching contract, $1 million transferred at once. And coming into that level of money that quickly, and I was doing well at the time, you know, but that's still a large sum of money to get all at once. And I hadn't been a millionaire at that point. I went into the deepest depression of my life over the next year. You know, my entire life changed in so many ways. I wanted to give the money back. There was so much, and I've had several of those. You know, my poem going viral to the tune of 200+ million views. In high school, my like mountaintop was winning Homecoming King, because I felt like that means I did it. I did everything. I was the most popular kid in school, or whatever that represented to me at the time. And every single time that I hit these mountaintops of, oh wow, I want to be on a television show. Great, did that. And then every single time it goes, what's next?
Yeah.
Every single time. And so I'm done with the what's next. I think that the goals are great because they give me something to strive for. I'm excited to create my next book and those sorts of goals, right? However, as soon as that the result itself will not bring the happiness. The cool thing is I don't have to wait for that also for the happiness. That's what that means simultaneously. So it's not just, hey, this goal won't make you happy. It's also, by the way, you don't have to wait.
Right.
And so I'm following the path of my greatest joy. That to me is, it seems so simple, but most people aren't doing that.
No, it's another act of defiance. To follow your joy. I mean, can you remember a teacher in high school was like, listen, when you get out of high school, what I want you to do is follow your joy. Whatever your bliss is, do more of that. No, that's not a message we get. That's completely against the messages we get.
And so what I believe is that we are nature. Everyone likes to say, oh, there's nature over there and then there's a city. No, we are nature. The cities we create are just as much nature as the anthill the ants create or the beehive the bees create. This is an expression of human nature. Yeah. Now, we can make it much more symbiotic, and I agree with all of that. That's not what I'm saying. My point is that I believe that nature is perfect. I believe there is a symbiosis to be found in nature, an equilibrium. And when you look at like a beehive or an ant colony, it's like, well, the worker bees are the worker bees, the queen bee is the queen bee, right? Like the worker ants are this, and like everyone's got their role and they live it out. Imagine how fucked the beehive would be if all the worker bees thought they were the queen bee. And you know what I mean? Like it would be a shitty situation for that beehive. That's what's happening with humans. We are raised to believe that we are supposed to do this, 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 and this, which may feel very against our nature. And yet, because we are told to go get a job and a career and do this and don't question authority and do this, we do those things to the sacrifice of what feels inherently true to us. And that is putting us out of balance with nature. And so I believe that when you look at the perfection of nature, what gets to happen to arrive at this utopian ideal that we may have is everyone honoring their truest nature. I believe that there are people who love to clean. I believe there are people who love to cook. I believe there are people who love to teach. I believe there are people who love to make music. And like everyone just following their truth without the input of what they think society wants them to be or what would be cool or what would make them the most money or whatever it is. I think everyone's born with a purpose, and if everyone was living that purpose, we would find a beautiful symbiotic equilibrium point that would bring about a bliss state. And so that's at least theoretically how I'm operating my life, and why I support people in finding that for themselves, because I think that is the way that we find this peace that we can find collectively.
I love that. I don't want to wake serendipity, so I'm going to do a mic gentle put down on that one. It was supposed to be a mic drop, but I don't want to wake you. No, I really love that, and I think that following your joy is something that I've really noticed for myself as well. Like I have on my phone screen, I have the Emmy, like the actual Emmy statue on my phone screen. And that's like my big North Star. If you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like you want to win an Emmy? I'm like, well, yeah, but like I'll be happy for 2 days, right? When I win the Emmy, that's not what it is. To me, what that means is I have shown up so much in my essence of performing, of sharing, of impact, of honing my craft, of being out in the world and impacting in the way that I want to impact, that's proof that I've done that. But like, I don't need to wait for that. That's just my goal to say, just remember, who you would need to become to get the Emmy is who you are now, and you just need to keep following that, keep practicing that. So I'm in the exact same boat, because I wasn't always in that boat. It was, for me, it was always the same thing. You know, like my happiness was at stake with every decision. My happiness is at stake with every outcome or every goal or every whatever. I don't want my happiness to be at stake on anything.
Yeah, and you know, even with the Emmy, there's so much like political aspects behind the scenes and all of that stuff, and so. I love that, because I think it's important for us to have goals. Yeah. I think it's important for us to have a mountaintop that we're moving towards. I think when we stop dreaming, we die. Yeah. You know, what is it that keeps motivating us and inspiring us? And I have so many goals. Yeah. I have so many goals and projects and ideas that I want to do. And I mean, I would say that most people view how I live my life like I'm a bit crazy. You know, how I spend my money in terms of pouring into projects that are not proven, how I continue to just trust deeply into giant leap of faiths over and over and over again. There's an aspect to it that I feel is viewed as crazy by a lot of people who know me and those who don't. And I also believe that we get this one, you know, we get this one life. Yep. We get this one life. Sure, past lives and all this stuff. I believe that our soul will have many more, but this is the one we have now. Yeah. And I don't think that I'm going to regret living life this way. I don't think that I know anyone that regrets following their heart. There's that study, I can't remember what study it was, where they just interviewing a lot of people on their deathbeds,
Yeah.
And one very common one is that they say, I wish that I'd let myself have more fun. I'd let myself love more.
Yeah.
Right? That I'd let myself, and that's the way that it was worded. I'd let myself.
Yeah.
No one ever says, I wish I'd worked harder.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
See, that's a mic drop moment from Serendipity. Serendipity is like, yeah, please do that. She doesn't have an opposable thumb. You're going to have to help her out with the mic drop. She's just saying, she's like, I really agree. That's a great point.
Turn around. There you go.
Oh, she is so sweet. She's like, Dad, is this almost done? Oh, I love when they put the face into the couch cushion. They're just like, I'm so apathetic about what you're doing. I'm not even going to look at you. This is the disdain I have for you making me do a podcast interview on a Sunday night, Dad.
I got her this morning. It's been a month, I think months since I've seen her.
How was it first just getting to see her again?
Oh, I have a video on my phone.
Do you really?
She's I love, this is one of the hardest aspects of that breakup was we had this dog together for 7 years, and then the split. And so I only get to see her every couple months for bits at a time. And oh my gosh, like, I love this creature. You don't even understand. I love this creature so much.
She is such a little coyote lover, man. I'm telling you, she is the best. She is absolutely the best. So we're going to take a pause right now, and we're going to actually play a game.
Okay.
So for those of you who do not know, Adam's podcast is called The Deep Dive with Adam Roa. Definitely check it out. It's amazing. And I was binge watching some episodes. And so we are going to do something. Hold on. I need to get my props. Not like props, like, yo, you got props, son. Okay, so we have these two bibs. I'm going to let you pick because you're the guest. I have one that I want you to wear, but we have one that is a unicorn and one that is two duckies skipping, I think. Which of these feel more in alignment for you?
Ooh, I mean, now that I know there's something on them, the green matches my shirt, but I want I like the magic of the unicorn.
All right, I wanted the unicorn for you, so this is perfect. Okay, so we're both going to put these bibs on. For those of you who are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you are so screwed right now. So I put this on real quick.
Okay.
And these are meant for kids.
These are super tight. This is a choking. This is a choking situation.
This is actually really tight.
This is a choking situation. Okay.
Mine already came off. Hold on a second. All right, hold on. This is we're professionals here. This is all completely done. Okay. All right. So this game. Oh, you need your water too. Hold on a second. Let's see, Blake, would you mind grabbing that bottle of water, the green glass one right here?
I love that you gave me like good quality water.
Dude, I'm gonna give you shit water. Come on, I don't want to be Thanks, man. I don't want to be responsible for your creativity sucking because you have bad inputs.
You give me fluoride and
man, I don't do that crap. And this is not a single use bottle. It is BPA free, just for anybody watching. I don't want to get canceled for having a plastic bottle of any kind. Mm-hmm. So this game is called the Even Deeper Dive with Adam Roa. So for those of you who haven't seen it, it's going to be great. So the cover art for the podcast, for Adam's podcast, is him underwater. And so since he's a singer and I'm a rapper, which is not really a singer, and he's underwater in the picture, I said, hey, why don't we try to sing to each other as if we're underwater and see if we can guess the songs that we sing. So we are each going to take turns filling our mouth with water, our own water. We're not going to do the marriage thing, unless you really want to. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to try and sing songs. And now here's the thing. If any water comes out of your mouth, you get a point deducted. If you guess the song correctly, you get a point, right? So whoever has the most points at the end wins the game.
I'm a stickler for I know this is all in fun, but I like to have rules to this.
What rules?
I feel like we should have a cup or a shot glass so we have the same amount of water.
Oh,
you know, because I don't want water to spill out of my mouth.
True.
But I don't want to put water in my mouth.
Bro,
right?
I'm with you on that. Okay, all right.
How do we know how much water to put in our mouths here?
Okay, so what we could do, because I was just gonna fill it up. I'm going all in.
All right. I mean, we could go.
We could just go for it and see what happens. But
the moment you tell me I lose a point if water comes out of my mouth, I'm going, well, how much do I need to do here?
Let's see. Okay, you know what? I'll go first.
Let me test.
Go ahead and test to see, and then just talk to me.
Well. about 4.
This sounds like the first time I was ever on stage. That was pretty good. That was a little Ozzy Osbourne.
So that was like the amount of that was a pretty full amount of water.
Okay, I'm gonna go full. Like I'm not gonna fuck around here.
Don't fill it. Don't fill it. Fill it.
What do you mean? Don't fill it. Fill it.
Like I didn't fill it. It's just because you close the back of your throat in order to do it.
But you also can't like put your head back. You didn't do that. But just now you started to put your head back.
I was trying to.
No, but that's cheating. You can't. If I go like this, then no water is going to come out of my mouth.
Okay, I just think that you fill it, you're gonna get so much water. All right, let's just do it.
Let's just go. Let's just
stop thinking about it.
Let's just stop thinking about it. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna because I don't remember what's okay. I got my songs. All right. So I'm gonna go first. Is that cool?
Yeah. This is any song in the world.
Well, no, but we'd like it to be songs that are like at least somewhat mainstream. People would know. Cool, as you said earlier. They have to be cool songs.
Okay.
God, you're gonna don't do like a Samsara Tulum. Like don't.
No. I picked a variety of songs.
Okay, all right. This is good. I like this. All right, here we go. All right.
That seems like a lot of water. See, I warned him. Here we go. Oh, that's Adele. Rolling in the Deep.
Boom, you got it. That's 1 point.
Yeah.
Look at that. See, you're crushing this game already. Okay, all right. So now it's your turn.
I feel like you should get the point.
No, you get the point because you guessed it. I mean, because
you did all the work.
That's true, I did. This game is completely fucked. We both get a point.
Yeah, this is a team game. This is a team
Why
game
are we
right
against
now.
each other? We should be co-creating.
That's what I'm saying. This is a co-creative podcast right here.
Fucking mic drop.
We learned something right here.
We totally did. Okay,
all right,
your turn.
Let me think of what songs I had.
Okay.
No, I don't give you any hint.
No hint. I didn't give you a hint. Mine was also an ode to the name of your podcast, but it's fine.
How come?
Stand By Me. Mm-hmm. Nice job. That's good. At the beginning, I was getting a little scared there. I was like, oh fuck, I have no idea what he's singing right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Song number 2. All right, so we're 2 and 2 right now.
Yeah, we're crushing it. We're crushing it.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's Billie Jean. Billie Jean. Michael Jackson. Billie Jean.
Boom, nailed it.
Yes.
Mic drop for you. We are 3 for 3 right now, bro.
We're crushing it.
Dude, we are killing this game. I gotta make it harder. Okay, all right, your turn.
Let's see what other song I was gonna pull. Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry. Fuck. Get to the hook.
I
don't know who sings it though. Oh fuck! This is the. I don't know who sings it. It's go F yourself, I think is the actual title of it. But then the radio version is You Should Go and Love Yourself, right? Isn't it? But I don't know who sings it. It's not Gym Class Heroes, is it? No. Who sings it? I give you can swallow the water. Who is it?
That's Love Yourself by Justin Bieber.
Oh, Justin Bieber sings that?
Yeah, Ed Sheeran wrote it actually.
Really?
Yeah, Ed Sheeran wrote that song and Justin Bieber.
Holy crap, I had no idea.
If you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself.
To love yourself, babe. I don't know what I just did there. That felt good though. Okay, all right. So that was me. That was you did it wonderfully. I just screwed it up. All right, this one.
Yeah, it's just like the rest of this podcast. I'll carry it. We got it.
Oh my God, I fucking love you. Okay, all right, here we go. All right, I forgot I was wearing this thing. All right.
Then we got the bib. We're crushing it. Imagine doing this with other liquids too. You know what I mean? We just like do it with just like whiskey. Whiskey, right? Or like take a huge hit of a joint and you have to do it on one exhale.
Where were you when I was planning the show?
Tulum.
Costa Rica. Okay. Everything I do, nothing enough for you. Fuck.
Oh, water everywhere.
God. Oh my God. It didn't even, it skipped
the bib.
Oh God. What song was that?
Every little thing I do.
Should I go
never
back in?
Never seems enough for you. What's the hook? Is that the hook?
Nope.
It's not the hook.
Keep going.
I have no idea. What's the hook? Sing the hook.
You don't want to lose it again.
Is it like NSYNC? NSYNC.
Baby, when you finally get to love somebody, that's what is gonna be my.
Oh, it's gonna be me by NSYNC.
That's it. You nailed it. Yeah. Okay. I screwed that one up. All right. So last one. We got one more for you, right?
Yeah. This
I'm
one.
gonna get this one, man, because I didn't get your last one.
What was? Let's see.
I spit up on myself like
I'm gonna sing the hook of this one.
Elton John. Damn it! What's the name of the song? Yeah. Damn it! Like, what's the name of the song? How do I not know the name of the song? Put down in words? Oh, it's your song. Oh, fuck me. How did I not know that? Damn it. Come on, Elton. You're making this more difficult for me.
Your song by Elton John.
All right, guys. That was the even deeper dive with Adam Roa. You are obviously much better at this than I am. I'm the only one who spit up on myself. This didn't help at all. We can take these off now, unless you really want to leave it on.
No, I'm
Are you ready to take them off?
It's a look.
It is a look, man. Those were really tight. The shout out to Amazon and the good people of Wuhan. Okay,
but I love. Let's up the stakes.
Okay, all right.
Next time, you know what I mean? Yeah, have someone just let your next guest know, wear something really nice.
Yep.
And then do that again with like activated charcoal black.
Ooh.
Whatever, something like marinara sauce, a mouthful of marinara sauce.
And then what if we also have somebody that, like, right when you start singing, they pinch your nipples?
Oh, okay. Yeah, totally.
Sorry, we'll cut that part out. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry.
I feel like it's never really a bad idea to add someone pinching your nipples to just about any game that you're going to play.
Yeah, I tried that at Cheesecake Factory once. I tried to get the server to pinch my nipple while I was ordering.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't okay with it.
What was the intention?
The intention was that it's so painful to go through the 947 pages of a Cheesecake Factory menu that if I could have my pain directed somewhere else, then I'd be able to just pick a meat.
Laser focus. Got it. Okay.
Did not work at all. Didn't work at all. No, it didn't work at all.
I feel like I could get, we're going to go to dinner after this, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I could get our waiter to pinch my nipples.
I was thinking we go to Cafe Gratitude, no joke. And then if they say, what are you grateful for? You could say the fact that I've heard that you're totally open to pinching people's nipples when they come in here.
See, that approach makes it weird. Just like the way that you said that. If I was a waiter, that's not the way that I would do it.
How do you not weirdly ask somebody to squeeze your nipple?
Politely, first of all, and not passive aggressive, like backdoor it. Like you
can't say backdoor. Just kidding.
No, I think that it's just like, hey, I have this theory that no, it's still going to be weird. It's going to be weird. Let's just be like, listen, I am testing. I'm testing to see if I can order more effectively with someone pitching.
Oh, you want to make this a science experiment now? You're going to tell people you're a researcher?
You got to enroll someone. You got to enroll something. And here's the thing: you just got to make it fun.
You do have to make it fun.
You have to make it fun. That's the best way to enroll someone. Like, how can we make this fun for the waiter to pinch our nipples?
I wish this was a live show so we could get people
go there and we could have the camera like from far away observing while we're ordering to see. It's like one of those things, like it's like an episode of The Hills or something. So we have a Zoom audio recorder up close. We got a lav mic, and
that would be.
It's like, hey, and then everyone's going to hear us as what we say to this.
We will report though. We will report online or something if this actually happens later on. We'll put it on some kind of social media so that everybody knows it happened. I'm looking forward to it. Do you think we can get him to do one of each? Like my nipple and your nipple at the same time, and tell him we're trying to test out energy exchange through a third party conduit through the nipple.
Oh, you know what we could do is say if he I made it a he.
We made it a he.
I feel like it's maybe. Well,
it's pronoun friendly. Whatever.
Pronoun. He, she, z, z. If they're holding both of our nipples and we ordered for each other, it's like we want to know if I can order what he wants through the conduit of you holding our nipples.
This is a beautiful example of the yes and collaboration in creativity, because there was no way that was ever coming out of me just sitting here with a notepad.
Really?
It wouldn't have happened.
Unless you were holding onto my nipple while you were writing it on the notepad. Clearly. This is the transference of all my creative ideas come out of my nipples.
I guarantee we've said nipple in this show more than any episode, any podcast I've ever done or created. I don't think the word nipple has ever been said. I don't think there's been mammogram podcasts.
I lactate creative energy. What happens? just come get some.
So one thing I hear you say a lot that I really love, this is just my favorite conversation in the world, and I would actually prefer to just do this for the next hour. But there are a couple other things that I do want to cover with you. So one of the things that I know is part of your, it's part of your belief system, but it's also just one of your mantras is you are seen, you are heard, you are loved. Right? You are seen, you are heard, you are loved. And I think that's such a beautiful sentiment, and I love it. And I'm curious, do you feel like those are also the three things we actually have to give up in order to truly become creatives and creators? The need to be seen, the need to be heard, the need to be loved.
No.
Okay.
No. I think that in order to be truly free in your creativity, you can't need anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like you go into a space of just creating, right? But I believe that innately and inherently, these are the things that we as humans crave.
Yeah.
I think that the reason I started saying that, and it's how I sign off basically every podcast, every performance, everything, is because I believe that if the people who feel those things, if you feel seen, heard, and loved, you don't go and abuse your spouse. You don't go and torture animals. You don't go and commit genocide. You don't, harm yourself.
Yeah.
I think that being seen, heard, and loved, if we can get everyone on the planet to feel that way, truly, then everything will take care of itself.
Yeah.
And so I want to remind people that if you're in an audience and I am performing, I see you. I love you. I hear you. And if you are listening to my podcast, I fucking love you. And it's important for people to, I think sometimes people think that that's just talk, but it's true. I unconditionally love every human being on this planet. It doesn't mean that I like every human on this planet. Right. It doesn't mean that I want to be friends with all of you. Some of you are dicks. You know what I mean? Like some of you are really just assholes in a lot of ways.
Go to restaurants and have the waiters pinch their nipples while they're ordering. Like, fuck those people.
But and so you may not be my flavor of who I want in relationship, but love is unconditional. Relationships are not.
Right.
And so I may not be in relationship with you at any point in my life, but I love you. I love you as a human. I love the fact that you as a soul said yes to come do this journey, because being human is hard. Yeah. There is a lot of hard aspects to being human. And the fact, like, if you're an asshole, it's because in some way, shape, or form, your life has led you to that. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you've experienced that level of pain. I'm sorry that you've experienced that level of not feeling worthy, that you go out and harm other people. I'm sorry that that happened to you. And yeah, I don't have to be your friend, but know that you are loved by me. Know that I see you as a fellow human. Know that I hear you. I hear it might be pain that you are putting out into the world or whatever, but I want people to understand that. And I want people to understand that it's not just fluff. It's not just, spiritual BS. It's a true thing. I have experienced so much pain in my life. It has been one of the primary things that I feel shaped me, and I know what it feels like to want to kill yourself. I know what it feels like to feel hopeless, like this shit is never going to go right. I know what it feels like to think that you can't do what you want to do and be told that you are not capable of accomplishing your dreams. I know those feelings, and I feel like that I have still found a way to find joy and happiness in my life. I've done it. I've gone from being completely shut down to someone who leads with his heart and is willing to show it in ways that blow my mind sometimes. And if it's possible for me, it's possible for anyone. It truly is. I really, really deeply believe that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I guess where I was maybe going with that is that I just feel like there are so many people who don't share their message with the world because they're so afraid that like they're not going to be accepted by sharing it. They're not going to be loved when they share it. They're going to be judged or ridiculed or embarrassed. And so like the need, like the deep need to get to be seen, to be heard, to be loved through my creativity could actually create distance between me and my creativity.
Yeah, well, self-expression is an act of self-love. And so when you express through your creativity, it's for you. Like it is one of the deepest acts of self-love that we can give ourselves. The moment that you say, I'm going to express myself, you're saying I'm worthy of being expressed. You are acknowledging what you're actually feeling as being worthy of being felt. You're saying I'm strong enough to take the potential feedback, rebuttal, like rejection of that expression. Like so much of what self-love encapsulates is held in the self-expression journey. And so by allowing ourselves to express, we are loving ourselves in that moment. And that is far more important than anything that may come externally. It always comes back to self-love. Even when we think about compassion, I think compassion is the external manifestation of self-love. And so the compassion that I can extend to you is the direct result of what I've been able to cultivate within myself. If I have not learned how to love the part of me that judges, the part of me that has anger, the part of me that is needing to prove or whatever, when I see it show up in someone outside of myself, I'm going to reject, resent, and refuse to be in compassion with that, because it's reflecting back to me the part of myself that I'm keeping locked up in this closet over here in the shadow. And so as we learn to love ourselves more deeply, we can extend that to other people. And otherwise it is a facade. It's not actually true, because we don't actually know how to love that. I can't love the judgment that you might exhibit if I haven't accepted that within myself and learned to love it within myself, because I don't know what it actually takes to love that. I haven't figured it out.
You haven't experienced that for yourself.
And so, I think that the desire to creatively express is done as an act of self-love, and as a result, people will feel that. It's one of the shittiest things for me to observe when someone's expressing from a need to be of approval. You can sense it. You can sense it. I can feel it in my body. Like that, when you see someone that's trying to take the spotlight because they need approval, it is a feeling that tangibly in my body makes I want to close down and shut off. And I feel pity almost wow.
That's where the compassion comes out again, right? It's like this person has such a need to be seen that this is the best way they can think to express that.
And I was that person. I think that's why it arises that feeling in me, because I was that person. I know what it feels like to feel like I needed attention because I felt so insecure.
Yeah, same. I mean, I grew up with that. That's why I became the class clown. That's why I developed humor and things like that, was to feel valuable, to feel loved, to feel acknowledged. So I totally get that. So And it's actually interesting because that brings up something else. So we have another game on the show that we like to play.
I love games.
This is easy though for you. You just get to sit there and talk. So it is called OMiG. And that is when we go onto your Instagram and find something interesting, and then you have to explain it to us. Ooh. So this is actually really great though. It lines up perfectly. So there's this, and we'll put a link to this because this is a video. We usually just do images, but this is a video. And this was, do you remember this particular video?
Yeah.
It's such a great video. So this is you in Costa Rica in your underwear. So tell us a little bit about what is happening in this video because it actually ties in directly to what you were just saying. So it's a beautiful tie-in, but tell us a little bit about the backstory.
You went and watched through a bunch of my content for this. Wow.
This is my art, bro.
Yeah, I love that.
And I love you and I want to honor you.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. Wow. So we were on this trip in Costa Rica, and
So you were in Costa Rica.
This was Costa Rica.
Thank God.
Mm-hmm. And we took this boat back, and it's funny because the boat ride to this spot, Punta Mona. Shout out to Stephen Brooks, who has this eco village. And we went out there for a retreat, and the way out there was raining and stormy, and we were in these little motorized boats, and legitimately almost like capsized our boat onto coral reefs, and it was a really scary experience.
Yeah.
But on the way back, now leaving 5 days later or whatever, it's sunny, it's beautiful. And it's like, this is amazing. This is so good, feeling so good. And I have this big backpack on. And we're getting out of the boat, and I have a backpack with my laptop and all this stuff in it. And I get out of the boat and I step out with my right leg, and the wave comes, like the tide just comes up, and the boat lifts up while my right leg's out and my left leg's in the boat, and it lifts my left leg up. And so I'm now like this, and I'm hopping, trying to maintain it, but I have the backpack on. And so I fall into the ocean, fully clothed, and with my backpack and everything. And it's an embarrassing moment. It's an embarrassing moment. Here I am, this athletic guy and facilitator and all these things, and I just ate it into the ocean getting out of this boat while all the women and everyone is fine. And I go and I just take off all my clothes and I hang them on the thing, and I stand on the side of the road in my underwear, drying off. I didn't have a towel or anything, so I'm just drying off. And at the time I was filming my reality show, The Art of Choosing Love. And so I had the cameras, and they walk up to me with the camera, and that's what this video is from, is, yo, what are you doing? Why are you standing there? Because cars are driving by just looking at me standing on the side of the road. And I remember just saying, if I remember correctly, this video is me explaining that there was a time in my life that I would have been deeply embarrassed by this. You know, there would be a time in my life that I would be thinking how everyone's judging me and how stupid they think I am and all this stuff. And instead, I'm embracing it. I'm literally standing on the side of the road in my underwear, laughing about it. And in this moment, like reflecting on how far I've come to get to a place where I'm not judging myself here, and still seeing that it wants to come up, still seeing that it's there if I choose to feed it. And it's like that Native American proverb of which wolf do we feed? Yeah. Right? Do I feed those voices in my head that saying people think you're stupid? People are judging you right now. You're not the cool guy anymore. Or can I laugh at myself? Can I actually see that even the fact that I'm not immediately judging myself, even the fact that I have this option of not doing that, is a sign of massive growth in who I've become and the comfortability in my own skin. And so, that moment was really powerful for me, actually.
Yeah, and I thank you for sharing the story, and that was why it really stood out to me, is that I feel like everything that you just said, what you said in the video and everything you just said now here, is probably the majority of the dialogue that goes through people's heads when they think about putting their work out into the world, right? I'm sitting here essentially naked. And if people may laugh at me, they may judge me, they may not think, I'm attractive enough or good enough or smart enough or whatever it is enough. And I think it was just a beautiful physical manifestation of the work that you've done in that, but also that this is something that we all go through as creators. At least I know that I've definitely felt that way. Anytime I've created something brand new, especially, it always feels like I'm standing on the side of the road in Costa Rica in my fucking underwear and people are just driving by judging me, right? So So for people who maybe are feeling that way, they have art they want to put out in the world, and they really just feel this pull, and they're trying to follow their joy as much as possible, but they are coming up against some resistance because they're worried about being judged. They're worried about being embarrassed. What kind of insight or invitation to consider might you share with them?
It's a really great question. And it's the reason why I'm taking this pause even right now is because I feel like I recently uncovered a belief in myself back in December. So not that long ago, 5 months ago or whatever. When I had a really good friend of mine reflect something to me, because he asked me, why do you share the way that you do? Like, why are you sharing so much of your life and so openly? Because it had been one of the major reasons for my last breakup is the way that I share. And I realized through conversation, one of the big reasons that I share is because one of my deepest kind of karmic wounds has been thinking there's something wrong with me, that there's something inherently just wrong with me. I'm a bad person. And part of that was formulated, a big part of that was through the sexual abuse incident, and very common for victims not understanding why, needing their brains trying to create a reason and saying, you must have done something. And especially having it be a repressed memory. So now my unconscious thinking, I did something to experience this level of pain and call that into my life, and yet not know that event even happened. So therefore it's just unconsciously, there's something wrong with me, right? And so part of the sharing that I've done is also, let me take everything metaphorically and literally, just put it naked out for everyone, so that I can say, look, like there's nothing wrong with me. There's literally nothing left. I've shared every aspect of my life with the world, and I'm not a bad person because there's nothing hidden. There's no secret. Yeah. And he said, that's not what you're doing though. You're trying to prove that there's nothing wrong with you. And I thought that was a huge, powerful distinction, to show and share that there's nothing wrong with me versus trying to prove that there's nothing wrong with me. And in that realization, I mean, it floored me. It was just a massive energetic shift of going, wow, because the need to prove that there's nothing wrong with me is still coming from the belief that there is. And so I was able to let that go. And so I think that what I want to share, because that's what intuitively came to me here, is that the process of creativity, like I said in the beginning, is a path of personal development and personal growth. The path of personal development and spiritual growth is infinite. You will always uncover more, because that's what it means to be at your edge. The moment that I am comfortable in front of 1,000 people on stage, a 5,000 person event may bring up an entirely new edge. The moment that I release a book that does this amount, it's great. Well, like, what's the next edge that's going to bring up the discomfort, and where does that discomfort come in? The moment that I run a marathon, okay, now it's an Ironman. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, if you're playing at your edge, you're going to experience the discomfort of thinking that you can't. And where the can't comes in is based on beliefs that you can work through and evolve past and prove to yourself that you can. And I think that for anyone who's feeling that desire to create and express and is worried about the judgment and the fears of what other people might say, just my encouragement is not to make it for other people, to actually see creativity as the path of your own growth and do it for that reason. And then the expression of it is an act of self-love. And that's the reason for it. The feedback that comes from it is out of your control. It's completely out of your control. We were just talking about Mind Valley posted one of my performances and videos. Yeah. That video has been posted on other platforms, and people tear me apart. I went down a comment. I just went down on one of those like meme pages where they just post random memes. And so here they are sharing this poem where I literally say, you are perfect. It's entirely saying you are enough. And there's people making fun of what I'm wearing. There's people making fun of how I dress. There's people, all kinds of stuff like that. And it was really interesting to observe and go, wow, okay. If I let that stop me from expressing the way that I do, there are so many people that wouldn't get the message that they are enough. And that message does land for every person who thinks that I dress like wannabe whatever. There are 5 people who really resonated with that message and needed to hear it. And so I think that it's important to understand that there are places, time and places for you to share your message. You know, there are safe spaces, especially when you're starting out. The first time I ever shared a spoken word poem was just to my girlfriend who I trusted so much. Then it was to a group of like 4 friends. You know, where are the safe spaces that we can be held in that? That's why I started my online community, so that people had a safe space to really express themselves. So knowing that is important. And also making sure that the intention is that you're not creating for other people. That's not why you create. I don't believe that is, if that is the reason why you are creating, that is not sustainable. You create for you. You create because it is something that you feel you need to do. You create because it is a gift that you are giving yourself. And then you express as an act of self-love, because once you've expressed, it's no longer yours. The moment I put out a song, it's not mine anymore. It's whoever's listening to it. It's theirs.
Yeah.
When I listen to music, half the time I don't even know who the artist is or the name of the song. I'm on a playlist that's on shuffle or whatever, and I'll get that song and I'm like, oh. And the experience that I have from that song, that's mine. I just made meaning out of that verse and that hook. I made meaning of it that's creating an emotional experience in me that is entirely mine. It is a gift that I get to have as a result of consuming this song. I am so grateful to the artist, but that's not the artist's song.
Right.
That's now my song.
Yeah.
That's why, like, you have a partner and they're like, this is our song.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's our song. They never say, this is the artist's song
that we're borrowing.
Right, for this. No, it's our song.
It's our song, yeah.
And so the moment I've released a poem to the world, it's not mine anymore. It's whoever resonates with it and takes it, it's theirs now. And so the act of creation, that's mine. No one can take that from me. The act of expressing it, that's mine. No one can take that from me. But once it's out there, it's yours.
That's powerful. That's freeing as shit, man. Big mic drop on that. Sorry, serendipity. That is, I really hope people take to heart what you just said there and rewind it and re-listen to it again, because it really is a matter of just, serendipity's going to write something right now. It's like, I'm so inspired. I'm out of here. Give me a journal.
I adjusted. She thought I was getting up.
She's like, we're not going yet. Come back up.
We're not done yet. There you go.
No, but I really love that. Like that it's not for anybody else. It's just for you. And I guess I mean, I could even say for myself that, you know, if I put out something and it triggers somebody, I wrote it to trigger you. And if I put it out to somebody and they get super happy, I wrote it to make you happy. Like whatever your experience is, it's really not my business.
Look at this painting.
Yeah.
Do I really, like, it would be interesting to know what the artist was thinking or experiencing when creating that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that'd be interesting for me to know.
Yep.
I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, right. When I observe this, what do I receive from that? Like, wow, like I love the color. It makes me, it's like underwater. Is it clouds? Is it like a dream space? Is it like it arises all these thoughts in me and these feelings in me. Those are mine. Yeah. And if I knew that this was actually supposed to be a mountain range in Colombia or something that inspired this thing, I'd go, oh.
It almost ruins it.
Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's not what I had at all. So it's like, yeah, the art as an artist, the process is mine. The process is mine. And I think that's, if there's anything that people are taking away from that, it's the value of the process. I want everyone creating for the value of the process. I don't actually need for you to express it and have it be for, like, you don't have to start singing because you want to be a singer and make songs that you put on Spotify. That's not the point.
Right.
The point of creativity is to create.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And we see it in kids. Kids don't have to sing to make a song.
Right.
They don't have to do it to draw to put it in a museum.
Right.
They don't have that. They do it because they have fun doing it, and it's a part of who they are. It's the essence, and they come in as creators. We forget to do that. We unlearn that, but that's inherently a part of who we are as humans. We come in with that. And we've been born into this society that doesn't seem to know how to cultivate that and celebrate that. And instead it shuts it down in so many people by telling them that they can't earn a living like it, by it's a waste of time, that they need to be more realistic, that all of these things, and it shuts that aspect down, which, like I said in the beginning, is such an inherent part of not only that what makes us thrive as human beings, but also inherently how we come into this world as pure vessels of light. So how do we cultivate that? How do we curate that? How do we learn how to channel that into things that are so valuable to us? It is a healing path. There is nothing more healing than learning how to tune into the little inner child in you that just wants to play and express and sing and dance and have fun. Like that, it's crazy to think that now takes work to get back to. But we are told as kids to grow up, and then when we grow up, we're told to like learn how to be a kid again. And so hopefully we figure out a way to just never lose it. You know, I think that would be just so amazing to see a world in which the kid in everyone is celebrated and nourished, and we can find our real purpose and our expression through being supported in that way. And I hope that like I surround myself with friends who do that. You do that for me.
Same.
You know what I mean? Like I hope to do that for you. It's like, bro, like awesome. Tell me what you're creating. What are you doing? And celebrating those aspects of each other. That's the type of people I surround myself with. That's who I hope to be for every one of my friends and for every one of my followers or anyone who consumes my content. Like, you're fucking amazing. You're amazing. You know how I know you're amazing? Because you're here.
Yeah.
That's it.
1 in 400 trillion chance that you be who you are. And this is why your work is so important, especially the stuff you've been doing even more recently with really drawing this out of people and their creativity and getting them back to the core essence of who they are. That's been kind of like covered up like shag carpet over a hardwood floor in the 70s. You know, it's like, we don't need to lay down hardwood floors. You got to pull back the fucking shag carpet and like, it's all there waiting for us.
Yeah. And you can make money. You can make money. I know there's a lot of people in poverty right now, and I get that. But if you are listening to this with the internet and all the things right now, you can just literally, there are so many ways for you to make money. You can follow templates, affiliate marketing, this and that. There's so many ways that you can just make money. There are far less ways that you will find that will allow you to express the purest expression of your soul in a way that lights you up and fulfills you for your lifetime. Far less.
It's huge.
Search for that. That's the actual gold.
Yep. That's why the Howard Thurman quote is like my favorite quote of all time, and I try to live my life by it. He says, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and then go do that, because what the world needs is more people who have come alive.
Yeah. What would you be willing to do for free? And then how could you find a way to make money doing it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. For me, I just want to activate joy in people. I don't care how I'm doing. I don't care if I'm a Starbucks barista that just like really knows how to make people smile, or if I'm on main stages talking to hundreds of thousands of people. As long as I can activate joy in somebody's life every day, I'm good to go.
And I want people to understand, like, I got money, you got money. Yeah. Like we
don't
do well.
Money at all. No,
like I'm not telling you not to want money. Yeah. I want more money. Sure. Absolutely. I enjoy the life that money can provide. And what I am simply telling you is that money is how corny, right? Money does not buy happiness. Right. It's like we have these things. Fame doesn't buy happiness. We have all of these people and these examples of people telling you these axioms. They're telling you that all these celebrities that are depressed, that are committing suicide, that are letting you know fame in many ways makes it harder to be happy. Right. And yet so many people want to be famous. Right. And we have all of these wealthy individuals who are miserable, who are saying, yeah, I got wealthy and it made me miserable. I have people who won the lottery, and just like, we have these examples and people don't want to believe it. And it's like, who else can fucking tell you?
Right.
Who else could tell you that fame is not going to make you happy except for famous people?
Yeah.
Who else is going to tell you that money can't buy you happiness except for people with money?
Right.
So why is it that you don't believe these people? Why don't you believe me?
That's what Jim Carrey says. He wishes everybody had like all their dreams come true and they became famous and got all the money in the world to show them, and it still wouldn't make them happy. It's really, really true. I used to be obsessed with fame and celebrity and like being like the biggest thing ever. And I just don't care anymore. Like I still want to make a big impact, but like I just don't care about the celebrity element of it anymore because I've seen firsthand what people go through.
I think I told you I was receiving death threats in my last relationship. Yeah. She's a bit of a celebrity, and so I got to experience death threats. I've gotten to experience also on my own accord, especially in places like Bali or Tulum or whatever, people who are familiar with my work and come up to me and talk to me. There's levels to fame, right? But being recognized at a restaurant and having someone come up to you and want to talk to you, that's an aspect of fame. And part of my journey has been asking the question, how deep do I want to go in that rabbit hole? Yeah. Like how do I want to be at the level? Because I went out to LA to pursue acting and I wanted to be a major actor. And so like, do I want the lifestyle where there are people taking photos of me out when I'm out? Right. You know, that sort of thing. That was a question that I really got to sit with over the last couple of years once my poem went viral. Yeah. And I got to experience that. Like, okay, how far am I willing to go with this? Yeah. And I'll let people know that there are sides to every coin, you know, and when
trade-offs for everything.
You become a millionaire and all of a sudden you look around and notice that people want you to pay for everything. And now why do I feel guilt for not buying this person lunch? Right. Like, why do I feel, I buy my parents a house, but like, why do I feel guilty that I don't, buy them the vacation that they're saving up for? Right. Or right? Like it's, and there's aspects to everything that people have like fantasized about only what the good side might be, and don't realize that there are so many people telling them about these other sides to it. There's another side to fame. There's another side to money. There's another side to lots of women. There's another side to lots of travel. Yeah. You know, I've been nomadic for 3 years. I've traveled all over the world, from the Middle East to South America to like Canada, like Norway, everywhere. I've traveled so many places. Yeah. And there's a lot of difficulties that come with that too. Yep. You know? And so if you think that something outside of yourself is going to make you happy, you will get it. I think you will get it because you're putting so much attention into getting it. So you'll make it happen and you won't be happy. Like, because you got it in the energy of not being happy. You created that life for yourself, whether it's wealth, fame, or whatever, from an energy of not being happy. Yeah. So it's going to be the entire fabric of that life is going to have, I'm not happy in it. The people you're surrounded by, the opportunities that are available to you. And so if you can figure out what makes you happy and start filling your life with that, then the fabric of what you create as your reality will be happiness. The people that you surround yourself with, the opportunities that are there will be coming from the place of I'm already happy. And so the person that I date is someone who I'm meeting in that space and loves me as happy version of me. Yeah. Right. And so I think that I can't stress it enough. And I even as I say it, I know how cliche it sounds, but it's like, listen up, people. Like, really listen up to what's being said to you. There's a reason why it's cliche. There's a reason why it's being said as much as it is.
Dude, I could literally talk to you all day. We have before.
And we're going to go to dinner and keep talking anyway.
Blake, you're coming to dinner with us. You're going to film dinner. Everything. Blake's like, yeah, I'm in. So before we go, there's a couple other little things. So I'm a big sock person. I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a big sock collector. I love socks. And so I try to, whenever possible for my guests, get socks that make me think of them, that remind me of them. And so I got some socks for you. Yeah. And they say on them,
I forgot about this actually.
Yeah, man.
I remember when
a word after a word after a word is power.
Wow. I love that.
And that's you, brother.
A word after a word after a word is power.
The words and the sentences and the language you string together is powerful, and it makes a big difference in the world, man. So I wanted to give you this as one of my tokens and reminders.
These are nice
of how
too.
They're kind of comfy, right?
Yeah, these are nice.
The ones for Oren, I love Oren to death, but they weren't super comfy. They were nice,
super
looking.
thin,
they were
and they were
super
printed
thin.
on.
But these are like the real.
These are
deal.
nice. These are some real socks.
Don't tell Oren that I got you better socks than him.
I love these.
And then,
thank you.
You are so welcome. And then we have one last thing here. Because you are here to ruin podcasts, you are also going to ruin this pillow for me by signing it. And as you are signing this pillow, I would like to ask you the final question. You know, this podcast is, again, all about ruining things, which is about doing things differently, changing belief systems, doing things in ways never been done before. So if there was something you wanted to ruin on this planet before you leave it, knowing that you're on this hurling rock spinning in space and it's probably a computer simulation, what is it that you would love to ruin before you leave this planet?
Your pillow.
Besides that, you already did that. Success.
The one thing I'd like to ruin before leaving this planet. I believe that there is a. I want to ruin the like construct of limitation that people buy into. And what I mean by that, and I'll give you an example, is I asked a friend one time, do you believe that in your lifetime you'll see the end of war? Say war. One thing out of all these other things, right? Yeah. And he said, no. And then, well, what the hell are you doing then? With like how can you create it? Like if you don't actually think it's possible, how can you create it?
Yeah.
Everything that we're doing, every idea you have about how to make the world better is still holding a reality in which war is going to be a part of it. Right? It's about that becoming a match to it sort of thing. Yeah. And I'm not talking about likelihood. Mm-hmm. You know, do I think it's likely that we see the end of racism in my lifetime? I don't think it's likely, if I'm honest. Yeah. But do I think it's possible? 100%. 100%. Would it take something maybe like an alien invasion and all that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like something crazy to bring us all together? Possibly. Yeah. But I at least hold space for the possibility to see the end of war, the end of racism, the end of sexual abuse, the end of those things. I believe in every fiber of my being that those are possible. And if I could leave this planet having done one thing, it is helping people expand what they think is possible. Not about what's likely, not about what they need to do themselves, but just what they think is possible for this world, for themselves, for their family, for their loved ones. What is possible? Because the edges of our imagination is the edges of what we can manifest into reality. If you can envision something in your life, it's because your brain unconsciously has figured out how to put the pattern together to know how it's possible. That's the only reason you even have it as a vision. So if I can expand people's imagination of what's possible, then I've just expanded the timeline potentiality for what actually is possible to be created on this planet. And if I could do that, I'd consider it a massive success.
Fuck yes, you get a final mic drop on that one, man. 1,000%. Bro, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy and your gifts with us. And where can people find you? I know you have the Create community, which I know is a big focus for you. I'd love you to tell us like a little bit about what that is and kind of what else you're up to in the world and how people can follow you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. It's so good. We've been talking about doing this for a while. Yeah. And I knew it was going to be fun. So I had a great time. Thank you for having me. Yeah, and I want to have you on mine, by the way.
Totally.
Like we'll schedule it like soon.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of online real estate, you know. AdamRoa.com is a hub. The createcommunity.com is my online personal development community, and I teach in there. And so people who want to work with me more directly would be that. I have my podcast, The Deep Dive with Adam Roa. That's everywhere you can find podcasts. And I have my YouTube channel where we put out unique YouTube content, and then all the social medias, you know, Facebook, Instagram, all of those places. And then last but not least, I have my nonprofit, surrenderedartist.org. You can go there to learn more about what we're doing there.
Nice. Well, we'll put all that stuff in the show notes. Check out Adam Roa on Instagram as well.
Adam.Roa.
Adam.Roa. Thank you very much. Okay, yes, Adam.Roa, and we'll have that in the show notes as well. Check out the podcast, check out Create Community, and also Create Community. You also bring in these expert facilitators, and so you're getting classes from all kinds of people. 3 classes a week or something that you're doing?
Yeah, we're basically the idea of the Create Community is making the highest level facilitation available at an affordable price, and making personal development basically a part of your lifestyle. Because the thing that separates the highest performing individuals that I know, and the happiest individuals I know, yourself included, is we have made personal development and our evolution as humans and as spiritual beings a part of our lifestyle. It's how we live. Right. And so we have all these programs, and I launch some sometimes too. It's like 3 months, 6 months, or whatever. Right. But like, I don't join the gym because I want to do a 3-month gym program. I joined the gym because I want to make health and fitness a part of my life. And so, making it a part of your life and having a community that supports you, that's the foundation of the Create Community. And I'm blessed to have some of the best friends in the best of the best of the best as personal friends that come in and teach in there. So anyone who's interested, go to thecreatecommunity.com.
Amazing. Definitely check that out. Serendipity, do you have anything you want to say before we close out, my dear?
This has been real fun, guys. I'd really like to get some food now. And this is
She's
definitely
a girl. She got a hang.
That's just my voice for all dogs. I'm not super creative when it comes to dog voices.
Come here, baby. Let's wake her up.
The sweetest thing ever. Oh, there she is. She's awake. Are we done?
You have the mic now.
What? Do you want to say anything?
Do you want to say anything?
I hate you guys.
Sorry, that's not your voice. I hate you guys. That sounds too whiny. You're much more powerful than that.
What's the most beautiful female voice you can do right now?
That I can do?
Yeah, the most beautiful female voice you can do.
Thank you so much for having me here today, guys. I really enjoyed listening to this conversation, and my daddy's way better than you. I'm just saying.
She's right in the mic, too. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's all we got for you this time. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Lots of love. Everyone. Peace out. That's all I got for you today, folks. If you love this episode, please make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Give us a 5-star review and a rating. So helpful for us, especially starting this podcast. Give us a great review if you love the show. Tell all your friends about us. Screenshot this and post it on Instagram and tag me in it so I can send you some love back. DM me with any of your feedback or any questions, and let's keep ruining shit together. Sending you guys so much love and cannot wait to see you again super soon. Peace.